focused on this area. I'm Jeanette Roscom. I am the owner and founder of Be Active Health and newly added integrative nutrition. I have dual master's degrees in exercise science and now nutrition science. And I'm very, very passionate about inspiring others to live a healthy and active lifestyle through movement and nutrition. My capstone study was the impact of exercise and nutrition on menopause symptoms. And that brought me lots of great information, amazing participants, and a lot of work on looking at how diet and exercise impacts our menopause symptoms. So that had brought me to building a wellness-based experience, a 12-week wellness-based experience that I'll be launching in May. And I'm very excited about that and learning more about that. So let's have a look here. Why am I doing this? Well, I grew up a female athlete. I went to school for exercise and sports science, and that was back in the late 1990s and into the 2000s. And going to a lot of different seminars and things, I learned a lot about exercise science. Nutrition was in there a little bit, but a lot of it was backed by research based on men. So I was always looking for different breakouts and things on women specifically. And I did find one that really looked at women pregnancy and postpartum and doing some work on how we train women. And through that, I found it was super fascinating. I learned a lot. It kind of helped me as I went through my pregnancies because we really aren't given a lot of information and a lot of resources as women going through pregnancy and still wanting to exercise and making sure that we're doing that, properly. And as I gain years, I'm 46 right now and I am starting the transition. So what a better time to look at menopause and how that relates to moving forward in the exercise and nutrition science world. I have many, many women clients. They are my mix fits that I see in the morning and throughout. And a lot of those folks are going through this transition. As I was looking for more and more information on this, I ran across a woman. Her name is Dr. Stacy Sims, and I found her years and years ago before her book came out, her first book came out, and she said women are not strong men. And that really resonated with me because a lot of, like I said, a lot of the research is based on men. A lot of programming is based off men. A lot of exercise equipment is built for men. And she's fantastic. And she's a fellow redhead. So I obviously just really, really, really like her and her mission. So looking at the capstone study, I had to go through and look at a background, right, on what information is out there. So looking at all the research, what information is currently out there in the areas of exercise and nutrition. So I focused on the Mediterranean diet on this study because it is very whole food based. And I believe food is medicine and I believe movement is medicine. And when we combine those together, we are unstoppable. So looking at that, the background, we did see that adhering to a Mediterranean diet in a number of studies can reduce risk of becoming obese in menopause women, can show a better cardiometabolic profile and improve menopause symptoms in a number of studies. Along with that, when we're looking at not just the diet, but when we look at specifically physical activity, those folks that are more physically active have less menopause symptoms. And a lot of studies are on those vasomotor symptoms because we don't realize the other symptoms that are involved. So vasomotor are your hot flashes, your night sweats. You're just sweating on a daily basis. So there wasn't a ton of background on this, and adding the two together, I felt was very important, and looking at the Mediterranean diet itself, and then the Mediterranean diet, including exercise bouts. And in the exercise bouts, I definitely included resistance training. So in this study, my hypothesis was that shifting from a Western style diet to a Mediterranean style diet will decrease the frequency and severity of menopause symptoms in 4 different categories, and we'll go through those in a moment. And then adding consistent exercise would also decrease those menopause symptoms. We implemented the Mediterranean diet style of eating for 8 weeks. So we had a group that did the Mediterranean style diet, and then we had a group that also added exercise to the Mediterranean style diet. So that was 8 weeks long, and I had women fill out daily assessments so we could see what they were eating, what type of exercise they were doing. And we were looking at the symptoms that you see here. The 4 categories are vasomotor, psychosocial, physical, and sexual. And these symptoms categories are based on the MENQOL questionnaire, and that is a verified questionnaire that's been used in a number of studies. So my research design, we're looking at women 35 to 65. A lot of times the menopause transition can last about 10 years. So so anyway, we're going forward. And if you suffer from those symptoms, you were able to take a look at becoming a participant. I did have some exclusion factors. So male individuals were not allowed to be in the study. Women who scored a 29 or below on the MENQOL, which means they didn't have any menopause symptoms. So if you had a 29 on that questionnaire, that means you don't have any symptoms. Women taking hormone therapy, female smokers, because smoking can cause different issues and inflammation and things. And I wanted to not have that as one of the things that was in there. Women on special diets that could not adhere to the Mediterranean diet, and then women who were physically unable to participate in the strength and conditioning were not part of the strength and conditioning area. So we had 30 women from Wisconsin start the study. We had 14 in the Mediterranean diet group, and we had 16 in the Mediterranean diet plus exercise group. We randomly assigned them codes, and they used those codes to fill out the assessments throughout the study. You'll see here as we went through, the study started with 30 women. Actually, I had 45 interested. 15 of them did not follow and were excluded because of the exclusion factors. And then we went through, and by the end of the study, I had 20 women left. Resources. In the resources, we had a weekly meal plan and shopping list that were provided. The Mediterranean diet eating guide, we went through a webinar and had different questions that folks could answer at any time. I was available via email at any time as a resource and to ask any questions at all and as support. Workouts with videos were given to those that were in the exercise study, and I provided 60 recipes, and if folks wanted a different recipe, they just had to send it on over and get the A-OK to use that as the in the diet itself. We went through the parameters of the Mediterranean style diet and what was included. You'll see a list of things here that we talked about that were in the parameters to be able to consume during the 8 weeks. And if questions again arise, they just sent me an email. Looking at those items in the exercise science world and in the nutrition world, those items that we talked about that we did allow, they have an array of benefits. And some of the benefits I have listed here just as an addition to the micronutrients, macronutrients, the colors that are involved. The Mediterranean diet is very high in omega-3s, fiber, and it's very important to have your water, knowing your prebiotics, probiotics, and then we have more things that are being discovered on all of the great things in the fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, healthy fats that were included in our diet. What are the things we said, no way, let's avoid these for the next 8 weeks. So during the 8 weeks, we avoided processed meats, added sugars, so all the whites, the white sugars, we avoided excessive alcohol. Occasional glass of red wine was okay. We took away refined grains and any highly processed oils. So we highly encouraged extra virgin olive oil as well as the avocado oils. So avoiding those things, also avoid the things that are in those types of foods, which are artificial colors, artificial flavors, synthetic nutrients, synthetic additives, pesticides, herbicides, GMOs, grass items, and ultra processed ingredients. During our talk, I asked for a show of hands if anybody knew what the grass items were. And just so you know, you can look this up online, but GRAS stands for generally recognized as safe. So if somebody hands you a plate of food and said, well, this is generally recognized as safe, how many of us want to consume that? So we have a long list of chemicals and long list of ingredients that are on that or in that database that are generally recognized as safe, that are not really looked at and reviewed on the same type of schedule that we would like them to be reviewed. So just something to be aware of, and a little addition. So when I was looking at my hypothesis and when I was looking at these 30 ladies, I feel like, looking at a westernized diet versus a Mediterranean diet, do all these women eat a westernized diet, right? And I could look at any point, if I wanted to look at any one of them, I could see what they would type in on what they ate. But we did a pre-questionnaire, so a 24-hour questionnaire as far as your food recall. And I just randomly picked out 2 of our participants. And our first participant was during their 24-hour recall. And again, you can take, I'll look at this and see, is this a westernized diet, right? So mushroom coffee, Greek yogurt, Nature's Valley granola for breakfast, and then Catalina Crunch cereal for a snack. Lunch was mozzarella sticks, nacho and cheese, a bubbler, and an apple. And dinner was pepperoni pizza, Tostito chips, and a chocolate chip cookie. So in review of that, you can ask yourself, does that look like a westernized diet? Then we took a look and we grabbed another one of those random participants and we took a look and said, what did they eat in their 24-hour recall? And would we categorize this as westernized as well? Breakfast was a plain white bagel with peanut butter and fresh fruit and coffee. Lunch was a salad with lettuce, cheese, bacon bits, eggs, olives, and dressing. We had some trail mix and a sweetened flavored water for a snack. And then dinner was a cheeseburger, a brat, mashed potatoes, chocolate cake, and an old fashioned. So ask yourself if that was westernized. So that was just 2 examples of what folks were eating before. And then we had 8 weeks of eating that Mediterranean style diet. After those 8 weeks, our results were listed here. And after those 8 weeks, those that were just looking at the diet, that weren't regimented in their movement, they could still exercise, but it wasn't the specific exercises that I had prepared, which are 3 resistance training exercises each week. The Mediterranean diets only, they saw a significant reduction in psychosocial symptoms, physical symptoms, and sexual symptoms. So 3 out of the 4 categories, we saw a significant decrease. When we added exercise to the exercise program, in addition to the Mediterranean style diet of eating, we had significant reduction in all 4 categories. So that was a really exciting finding. And looking at my hypothesis, it kind of was like, yes, this worked. So that was really great, and really kind of reinforces the fact that movement and nutrition is super important in our world. So I did give handouts of the example meal plan, and I'll add those resources to the post and favorite recipes that were given. So I think there was a protein pancakes and then a Mexican mango quinoa. That was one of the favorites during the study, and then an example workout. So what would I focus on, and what does the Mastering Midlife really take a deep look at when we're looking at the ways that we can minimize or decrease or get rid of menopause symptoms? I would say looking at your essentials. And essentials vitamins, minerals, nutrients. What does that mean? When I say essential, that means that I need to consume that for my body to be able to use it. If I don't consume these vitamins and minerals and essentials, my body cannot make them. So I have essential vitamins and minerals. I have essential fatty acids I need to consume, and I have essential amino acids I need to consume. And we kind of dig into that in our Mastering Menopause program. Omega-3 fats, those are super important here in our system. We tend to be very heavy on the omega-6 fats, and we do not consume enough omega-3 fats. So we will dig into that a little deeper as well. Excuse me, eat the rainbow daily. All those phytochemicals and all those colors and all those prebiotics, probiotics that are in those vitamins or in those fruits and vegetables are super important. We dig a little further into that. And resistance training, super important for us. As we go through menopause, our hormone balances change. We lose our estrogen levels. Estrogen is really important for our muscle building and our muscle holding and our lean muscle mass, and we're reducing that. So resistance training is super important for our muscles and our bones. So we really dig into that, and I put together a resistance training and muscle building program for all of you in the Mastering Menopause program. And it would be customized as well. So it's like, okay, we're going to go do these workouts, but based off of, your fitness level, we always can adjust that also. And I would support you with all your questions and get you started with that. Avoiding alcohol is also one of them. We dig into alcohol on the Mastering Menopause, and, it's hard in our culture because we are very social, and a drink or two or a glass of wine is often involved in that. But there are some really great non-alcoholic options, and we're getting more into the mocktails and things like that. And we're learning all the ins and outs of alcohol. So we'll go over that a little, well, actually quite a bit. Again, we dig into that in our menopause program. And then avoiding processed foods. And we talk a little bit more about that. We dig a little bit further into the generally recognized as safe list. But these are the focus on areas that I would really recommend if you are in the menopause transition and looking to decrease those symptoms and decrease that weight gain and other things that you might be experiencing. All right. My favorite resources in this area is the app called Fitter Women. If you look at that app, Dr. Stacy Sims, she was part of kind of putting that app together as well. And if you do still experience a monthly menstrual period, you can track those. So as perimenopause is coming and you want to track and see where you're at, that's a really great app to do that. And it will talk about where you are in the different phases of your menstrual cycle and what that means for your conditioning, your exercise, and your nutrition. It gives you some recipes and such in there. So that's a really good resource. Dr. Stacy Sims, I love her. If you check out her website, you check out her, she's got 2 books, Roar, which is Women Are Not Strong Men. And then she has a Mastering Menopause as well. Love it, love it, love it. And then fresh local produce. If you don't have a farmer's market, our folks locally here, we have a resource, Farm Fresh Express, and they'll deliver right to your doorstep. Fresh organic goods and salmon that comes right from Alaska. If anybody has questions, you can certainly put them in the comments. Please reach out via email. You can go to my website, get some more information on the Mastering Menopause program, which we will be setting up consultations for May. And going through that some more. So thank you for watching. Thank you for those who came live and asked questions and were involved yesterday. And I'm really excited to work with all of you as things happen in May. So take care.